Biblical definition for passion is a powerful feeling of enthusiasm towards someone or something. Hi, and welcome to the Passion Project. I'm your host, Coach Richard Bacon. It's holiday season, as you can see with our background and our festive look. It means holiday basketball tournaments too. Now I'm going to introduce to you my special guest, Tom Rogers. Tom?
Thanks for having me, Richard. I appreciate it very much to discuss our tournament in over the Christmas holidays.
Yes.
I was born and raised in Hillsboro, Texas, and with certain things, my father got transferred to Tyeskie, Texas, so that's where I went to high school and graduated from. And after I graduated, went to Texas Tech University in 1966 and graduated in 1970 with a physical education degree. So I always was involved in sports in some way or fashion. And after I graduated, I enlisted in the United States Air Force and got stationed at Carswell out here in kind of northeast Fort Worth or northwest Fort Worth, and stayed in Fort Worth and have never left.
Still been enlisted, huh?
Still been enlisted. That's exactly right.
All right. Tell us a little bit about the history of this holiday tournament. I know that most people know about the Whataburger tournament because it's such a big tournament, and what I don't think they know is some tournaments that we play in today had another name before arriving to this name that they have today, because you have title sponsors.
Right.
So what was the Whataburger tournament called back in the day?
Well, it started in 1958 as a service organization, the West Side Lions Club. And it just developed into probably one of the top tournaments in the state of Texas during those early years. And then naturally, with service clubs kind of declining as it went on down the road, the tournament was kind of suffering too. So we needed a boost, as I had joined the West Side Lions Club in 1974 when I started in the insurance and annuity business here in Fort Worth. And so I decided that if they needed some influx of new and younger people to continue the tournament on, I agreed to be the tournament director in 1981.
Wow.
So we started and decided that we were going to go national. So we called Morgan Wooten, the famous coach out of DeMatha High School in Hyattsville, Maryland, which he got his specialty known by when he played Lou Alcindor or Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. DeMatha practiced for a full 2 weeks with the defensive guys holding brooms up. And therefore, so they could practice with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, or Lou Alcindor is what he was at that time, right, with hook shots and stuff like that. DeMatha did beat Power Memorial at that particular time, so yes. Morgan became a legend at that particular time. We called him, we invited him to come. He said he had never played in the state of Texas before and would love to. So they came in and played for that very first year, which we also had to get Dunbar back in there, which was Fort Worth's hometown team at that particular time, which we accomplished with Coach Hughes also, and so the tournament was off and running.
I tell you what, I was over at that championship game, and I remember just like it was yesterday. It was my second year in coaching. I was a freshman coach at Dallas Pinkston High School, and I had a couple of my players, and we came over to the championship game. And I don't know if you remember this, but we got there probably right at the tip-off for the championship game, and it was sold out over at Wilkerson Grind. I couldn't get in, and I saw you, and you saw me, and you say, "Come on, coach, the fire, you gonna get me kicked out of here. The fire department gonna run me out of here, but we're not supposed to let anybody in. But I'm gonna let y'all in." I said, "Well, I got 2 of my players with me too," and we snuck in through the back door and we went in, and that's back when Danny Ferry was playing for Coach Wooten.
That's exactly right.
I'm gonna tell you another little short story too. This past summer, my daughter was going out for orientation to Virginia State. Virginia State is located in Petersburg, Virginia, about 20 minutes from Richmond, and about a 2.5-hour drive from Annapolis, Maryland, where her grandfather, my father-in-law, lives. I come to find out that a former TCU Horned Frog played for us when I was there with Billy Tubbs. Mike Jones is now the head coach at DeMatha High School. So I called him up just to say, "Hey, man, I'm in town, whatever." He said, "Well, I have a game today. You want to come over?" I said, "Y'all got a game today?" So I actually have been on that campus, in that gym, and I mean, the Wooten's name is all over that gym. And to piggyback on that, you know, he was he was very instrumental in starting the McDonald's All-American game.
Correct.
And so his son is now like the CEO of the McDonald's All-American game. So I got a chance to meet him, his wife, his son. So it's just funny how sports can tie you into all these ties of woven, you know.
You're exactly right. The former coach at Notre Dame, Mike Bray.
Okay, I remember Mike Bray.
Was a first-year assistant with Coach Wooten at DeMatha when they came down.
Wow.
So Mike Bray and I have been friends for, 40 years now. It's been a long time.
Right. Because that's a long time. All right, so you got this big holiday tournament coming up. What's the dates? And is it boys and girls?
The dates are December 28th, 29th, and 30th. Our 6A, 5A boys tournament is held here in Mansfield at Mansfield Legacy High School. We have 2 other tournaments also. A small school, which is 4A through 1A boys, will be played at Saginaw's Chisholm Trail High School. And we also have a small school girls tournament, which is 4A through 1A, which is played at Saginaw High School. So we have 3 separate divisions of our tournament with 48 teams which are invited each year.
Okay, and the Mansfield is being played at Mansfield Legacy. That's the big boys.
That is correct. That's the big boys.
What is the ticket price? A person that wants to attend this game, what would they have to pay?
A single day ticket will be $13, and a season pass, which you can come and go at any time for the 3 days, will be $30.
Okay, $30 for the whole tournament, or you can pay $13 every day.
That's exactly
Sound like
right.
a $30 sound the most inexpensive to me.
Correct.
Now, with a ticket, if I purchase a ticket for the 6As, could I use, if I bought a tournament pass for the 6As, would that allow me to go watch the 4A 1 through 1A?
No.
Oh, you have to, those are separate.
Those will be separate. We do sell an all venue pass for $50.
Okay.
Then you can go to all 3 gyms. It's quite a distance from Mansfield to Saginaw, so
Right.
probably very few people will want to do that.
So if I want to buy a ticket, is the ticket sold online? Will I have to pay at the door? How does that work?
We have online ticketing.
And what would they go to? Like a website?
They would go to we just redone our website, and you go to www.championshipbball.com.
You mentioned DeMatha back in the day, over almost 40 years ago. Do you have any teams coming in from out of town this year that we should be looking out for?
We stopped having teams from out of state
Okay.
about 10 years ago, but this year we try to get. We feel like that if we can get the best teams out of the state of Texas, because people that love basketball in the state of Texas know about the teams in the state of Texas. They kind of follow the rankings, et cetera, et cetera. But this year we've got number 2 Round Rock Stony Point, who has a kid that's going to Villanova.
Okay.
Very, very good player. We have number 3 Plano West. We've got number 6 South Grand Prairie. We've got number 13 Keller, and we include 5A boys in this tournament also. So we have number 2 Fort Bend Marshall with Coach Ronnie Courtney, who's pretty much of a legend in high school basketball. Here
right.
we have number 4 Leander Rouse that is coming in, and we also have Friendship from West Texas, Wolford Friendship.
Yeah.
So our tournament is loaded this year. I know that there'll be college coaches here, and a lot of scouts will be looking at both venues simply because of the players that we've got coming in here with the big boys, the 6A, 5A. But there are some really good players at the small school boys division. We have number 1 Fort Worth Eastern Hills playing there, they've got 3 juniors and 2 sophomores starting that can play. So they'll be looked at. And also Canyon Randall, who went to the state tournament last year, they're ranked number 3 in the state, and they return everybody. And then we've got a number 1 in the Class 3A division. Hitchcock's coming, and Brock, which is, I think they rank number 4 or 5 right now, is coming. So the boys in both venues have really good teams and really good players.
How do you go about targeting these teams and reeling them in to come to your tournament? How do you do that? Because if they're ranked and they're really good, they probably got the choices to choose from, and they probably could answer this question better than I can. But you, as a tournament director, what do you do to try to entice them to come to play in your tournament?
Well, we felt like over the years that we've built it up to be probably the most recognized and best tournament in the state of Texas. So when somebody said that, have you been invited to the Whataburger? No, but we'd love to come. Then I guess we built it to a reputation that where everybody wants to come if they're invited, and if they're invited, they 99% chance they're going to come.
Okay, so let's take the average fan that's not in the know, and it's holiday season coming up probably in a couple, 2 or 3, 4 weeks. We're going to have these holiday tournaments, and then I'm looking for, where's the Whataburger? Where's the Whataburger? What is it called now? Well,
the Whataburger, as a lot of people know, was bought out last year. 51% of their corporation was bought out by a Chicago firm. So the tournament's renewal of the title sponsorship was up this particular year, and they decided not to renew their contract after 33 years. I think they decided to go more toward the professional level than the high school level, but that's our opinion. But so it was really too late in the game to get a major sponsor for our tournament, because a lot of companies have already designated their marketing funds to put in such a big endeavor. So Championship Basketball, which is our 501c3 nonprofit organization, which we pretty well zero everything out with our profits to help AAU teams and stuff like that around the Metroplex. Eyeglasses for kids, we still do. Each division winner of each of our 3 divisions receives a $1,000 scholarship payable to the high school scholarship fund, not the athletic fund, but the high school athletic, the high school fund that scholarships, and then the individual's high school committee designate who gets the whole 1,000, or break it up into 2 or 3 students so they can further their education if they want to do that. Wow. So it goes to all of the proceeds of our 501c3 corporation are spent, and it goes to worthwhile causes.
You mentioned that about the Whataburger and not being the title sponsor. I stopped at Whataburger yesterday, And now it makes more sense to what I read. They said they're the official hamburger of the Dallas Cowboys. So they did go professional.
Yeah, and they got more heavily involved with the Texas Rangers. They got heavily involved with the Dallas Mavericks.
Gotcha.
Gotcha. So it's the marketing game, I guess.
Right.
Not to our advantage, but that's just the way it is sometimes. You have to move on and do other things.
Yeah, it's probably some more corporate money out there that knows that this track record of the Whataburger tournament has been good. I have some good memories. I have a few bad memories because I played in it as a coach. Never won it. This is one of the few tournaments that escaped me as a coach. I never won the Whataburger, but I did get to the semifinals twice. I did win the Constellation bracket. Proud of that because that's the best team that lost the first game. And we were a 5A school, and we beat all the 6As all the way through the semifinals. So all the way through the consolation bracket. So pretty proud of that. But it'll be some corporate money out there pretty soon. A tournament of that magnitude with all these different teams that you have, do you try to seed the tournament where, like, if you had 16 teams, you say this is the number one team through 16, and try to pit them opposite each other so that makes for a good championship game?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
Yeah, we look, and I go to games. I might have gone to more games than anybody in the country. 'Cause
Right.
I go every Tuesday and Friday nights to see maybe one or two ball games, and especially I was doing that earlier in my career, is going to a lot of games, watching. And I do look at the rankings, but the eye test is much better in person to see a team for a half or three quarters, and then you can judge on your own.
Right.
Just like I saw Plano East play on Tuesday night last week, and saw Round Rock Stony Point play last Thursday in Georgetown. So I do get in my car and travel to watch all these teams, and then make just a gut feeling, if you want to call it,
Right.
on bracketing. And normally, as in any good bracket, you do the number one seed on the top portion, and then you do the number 2 and 3 seed on the bottom. So you can hopefully get the best championship game that you can offer the fans who are coming to see them play.
Over 40 years of basketball, that's a lot of players, man. Any players jump out at you as guys that you'll never forget that participated in your tournament?
Well, probably the best one that I think has ever played in our tournament was Rashard Lewis.
I remember that.
Rashard Lewis was at A-Leaf-Elsick High School down in Houston. He was 6'10". He was a great kid. I mean, he was yes or no, sir. And he went to the pros and had a pretty good career with
Yes,
the pros.
he did. Yep.
And Coach Gerald Hartfield is a dear friend of mine, and he had every choice in America with him to go to any tournament that he wanted to, but he chose to come to our tournament. And I'm forever grateful in him coming to Fort Worth to play.
And he beat me in the first round.
Well, they beat a lot of people.
Yeah. I remember, we were feeling good about ourselves going in at halftime. The score was close. And Rashid, he had less than 10 points at halftime. But that second half, he made up for all of that in the second half and went off about 26 or 28 points in the second half. And it was downhill for Richland after that. And we talked about him a lot after that game. Some of my guys were so impressed with how good a basketball player he was. Any of the local guys you can think of that was really talented that played in your tournament?
Yeah, recently, Cason Wallace from Richardson, who went to Kentucky for a year. Now he's in the pros. and his running mate at that time at Richardson High School, Ryland Griffin, went to Alabama, and he's still at Alabama.
Now, I'm going to tell you something crazy about the Griffin. The Griffin kids' parents and aunts and uncles grew up around the corner from me.
Oh, wow.
I know I know the Griffin's dad. I know Ron. And Ron and his family and my family, we were really close. And so every time I hear that Griffin name, I get a little excited because I know where those roots come from.
That's exactly right.
I knew the boy's grandmother and
Oh, my gosh.
yeah, all of that. All
Well,
of that.
Anthony Black played
Yes.
at Duncanville.
Yep.
There was so much trouble with the UIL, and he played in our tournament for a couple of years at Duncanville. And Drew Timmy from Gonzaga, he went to Richardson Pierce.
Yes.
And Coach Johnson was just like Coach Hartfield. He could have gone anywhere in America with that player, and he chose to come to Whataburger because he knew, just like Hartfield, he knew he was going to get great competition to help them. And that's what our tournament was built on and is still built on today, is we put this tournament on for good teams to get ready for district play so they can move into district with tough competition over the Christmas holidays, and hope this would get them better to make so they could go to Austin in the old days or now San Antonio. And that's the reason that we continue this tournament, because we feel like it gives the coaches and the teams kind of see exactly where they are starting into the more important part of the season, district and in the playoffs and in the state tournament.
I'll tell you what, sometimes players are discovered in those types of tournaments, because I didn't know anything about Drew Timmy. But I walked into the Whataburger tournament. I don't know if I was over there just to watch basketball or to go watch a particular game. But I saw him, and I'm like, who is that dude? Because he is tough.
And he was probably a sophomore at the time when you looked at him.
Yeah, I'm like, who is this guy? He's going to be really good.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you another one that jumped out at me, but I knew about him. He came to play in the Whataburger his junior year, but I knew about him his sophomore year because we played him in Houston. That's De'Aaron Fox.
I was fixing to mention him.
Man, and now he's an NBA All-Star. Yes.
He can go,
Yeah,
as they say. It was unfortunate that he came up. He was from Cypress Lakes, and they came up to the tournament, and he got hurt the first quarter.
Yes, he
against
did.
Arlington Martin.
Yes, he did.
And he sprung his toe. He had a toe injury, and it put him out for about a month going into the district season. So, but unfortunately, that's part of the game. But
Right.
all you need to see is one quarter of that dude, and he could flat go. There's
Man.
no doubt about it.
I remember I had a kid by the name of C.J. Roberts,
Yes.
and his dad was telling me, he said, y'all going down to Houston and y'all playing Fox's team. I'm like, who is a Fox? Who is a Fox? It didn't take long to figure out who Fox was.
That's exactly right.
He was special.
That's
I mean,
exactly
he's one of
right.
special. And then somehow, it's probably personal to me, but I think Dunbar had some kids come through there. Jeremy Smith stands out to me.
Woo!
I mean, Jeremy could pack a house,
Yes.
and you would never leave like you didn't see enough.
That's exactly
He
right.
gave you everything he had. If he would have been 6'10", he would have had a long, illustrious NBA career.
That's exactly right. He was kind of a tweener.
Yeah, I remember I had the opportunity to coach him in the U.S. Global Games, and he had to guard guys way bigger than him. But Jeremy's never met a mountain he didn't think he could climb.
No.
So I remember after our first game, I think we had played Puerto Rico or somebody, and all the coaches from all the high major schools were coming. Who is this kid? Where's he go to high school? Because it was the summer going into his senior season, and they wanted to know who was recruiting him and this and that. And I told him, I said, if y'all get him, y'all got to go. Y'all got to go.
That's exactly right. He was what you talk in the basketball world is a man among boys.
Yes, he was.
And actually, the kid that's coming in from Round Rock Stony Point this in a couple of weeks is exactly like that. The kid that's going to Villanova.
Okay. Well, I'm going to be hopefully able to get over to catch some of these games. I'm retired now, and I don't run to as many basketball games because I don't have the same motivation to run to these games anymore. But I still enjoy basketball. 2 big holiday tournaments. It seems like both of them are somewhat geographically designated. So the Whataburger or championship tournament is usually more catered to Tarrant County. And then the tournament that you have in Dallas, which is now known as the Dallas Invitational,
Right.
suits
The old
more to
Coca-Cola
Dallas.
tournament.
Old Coca-Cola, or go back
Dr.
another
Pepper.
Dr. Pepper
Dr.
tournament.
Pepper. That's
Dr.
right.
Pepper tournament when I
That's right.
played in it. They get those names. So what would you tell someone who's in the mid-cities? He could go to Tarrant County for your tournament or go to Dallas for the Dallas Invitational. Tell the fans why they should come see your tournament.
Well, the Dallas tournament's always been good. It's been heavily
Attended?
well, it's been heavily attended, but it's also had heavily with more of the Dallas ISD and that surroundings. We will always have teams from all over the state, and we normally try to pick the best teams. We're already working on next year's tournament, actually. So we've had teams from the Houston area. Dickinson is coming this year, even from farther south in the Houston area, and we've got Woodford Friendship from West Texas. So we will have a more variety of state ranked and state teams being brought in to our tournament each and every year. But both of them are good. I wish the Dallas Invitation well. Sometimes we've butted heads, I guess, if you want to say, on teams, but that's okay. That's what makes America great. You're invited. You got your choice on where you want to come. I can remember trying to get Coach Dyer from when he was at Old DeSoto come over and never could get him, and I kept on, and finally he says, "Well, we'll come to Fort Worth," and that was with the Marcus Golden kid that went to Duke.
Okay.
And they were over there came over for 4 or 5 years before Coach Dyer retired. So we've had some success, and Dallas has had some success, which is great for the high school basketball fans in this area, because no matter what you say, the Dallas Metroplex has the best basketball players anywhere in this state.
I agree.
And I wish that the UIL would come to their senses and bring the state tournament up here. They've got a great location if they could get it. Now, whether they could get it or not due to the college AAC plan, but the Dickies Arena is 14,000 seats. That is plenty for a state basketball tournament, and that would be an ideal location if they ever decided to move away from San Antonio.
I think it would be as well. I think I talked to Charlie Bradley, who's the executive director of the UIL, and the biggest thing with the UIL Final Four, the venue has to be able to serve the boys and the girls in consecutive weekends. And as of right now, I don't know if there's been any scheduling difficulties with that, but if you want to do the state tournament and move it from San Antonio to Fort Worth, Dickies Arena is going to have to guarantee that they can have one weekend for the girls, one weekend for the boys, back to back. And if they can do that, I think they can get the tournament.
That is correct. And I think they wanted to move it to Dallas.
They did.
To Cuban's arena,
But
they're not going to give up 2 weekends in a row.
No.
That's just like San Antonio. They really wanted to move it to AT&T or Freeman Coliseum or whatever it's called, but San Antonio's got their rodeo that the Spurs are out, and then they come in and like you say, the girls, the boys, and then the rodeo for that, Spurs ownership can't afford to be away from home games for a month.
Right.
But I would really like it to get into more of a basketball arena.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. But there's also been a little talk of maybe trying to have the boys and the girls on the same weekend at a venue. And I wish some of that talk would actually continue, but you never know. I mean,
right.
It's their deal, and they decide what they want to do.
Right. Well, Tom, it's been great catching up with you, man, and appreciate you coming on the show to talk about these holiday hoops. All right, and we're back. I'm going to let him introduce himself and tell you a little bit about him and what he does for the district as we roll into our holiday tournament season.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. My name is M.T. Tyeskie. I'm the Assistant Director of Athletics for Dallas ISD. This is my 21st year in education, my 5th year in this role as Assistant Director of Athletics. I oversee basketball, swimming, transportation. We started an initiative called Leaders in Training, where we select different student athletes among our 22 high school campuses, and we take them through a series of leadership things. And that's one of my babies that I'm really proud to say that I be a part of. So I've been married for 16 years, have a 13-year-old daughter. We reside actually in DeSoto, and I'm happy to be here.
Oh, great to have you. So let's start out with giving us a little history on this tournament, if you can. What's the name of the tournament, the dates, things like that?
So brief history on this tournament. To my knowledge, I am a Dallas ISD graduate, so over the years, as a kid, I was able to see different student athletes participate in it. Back then, it was called Dr. Pepper
okay.
tournament.
I played in it in 1970. Well, I was on varsity from 72 to 75, so my sophomore, junior, and senior year, I played in it, one of the toughest tournaments. It's one of the tournaments that escapes me. I never won it as a player, and I never won it as a coach. Got to the finals a couple of times at Dallas Lincoln, but we did not win it.
It has a rich history of it. This year's the 83rd annual. Over the years, it was Dr. Pepper. Then around I think 2007 or 8, it became the Coca-Cola tournament.
Okay. And
since 2016, it's been called the Dallas Invitational. So over the years, we've seen the changes with the name, and it's a historical tournament, and I'm blessed and honored to have the opportunity to oversee this tournament.
What would be the admission price for this tournament?
So what we came up with, for the basketball junkies, basically we have a $25 3-day pass.
Okay.
$25. You go to any facility. It is going to be held at 8 different high schools, and the final day it will be at Ellis Davis Fieldhouse as well as Forster Fieldhouse. We also have a $15 day pass for adults and $10 for students.
Okay. Now, is it a boys tournament and girls tournament as well?
Yes, sir. So it's a boys and girls tournament. 64 teams, 32 boys, 32 girls. 3 years ago, I had the opportunity to kind of revamp the tournament, so I incorporated a gold and silver bracket for the tournament. To have teams that's athletically kind of match up against each other kind of equally. We wanted to. Is
it by classification, like?
No.
Just if you're good enough to play up in here.
Well, for the most part, what we base it on is TABC as well as GASO rankings.
Okay.
Once we look at the rankings, then we seed the tournament.
Oh, okay. So the tournament is seeded.
Yes.
Okay.
Based on preseason rankings. So, like for example, preseason DeSoto and Kimball was both number 5 preseason in 6A and 5A respectively. Red Oak was number 14. Humboldt Tascasita was number 6. Those are a few of the teams that will be participating in the tournament this year. And what we did, we wanted to ensure that a superior team is not playing a team that's just trying to find their way, if that makes sense.
Okay. You said 8 different high schools. Do you have the list of the schools in which the tournament's going to be played?
Yes, I do. So in the gold bracket for boys, South Oak Cliff and Skyline will host the boys gold. The girls gold will be hosted at Roosevelt as well as W.T. White. At our silver bracket, the boys silver will be held at Conrad High School as well as Forster Fieldhouse. And the girls silver will be held at Pinkston High School and North Dallas High School.
So you mentioned a few schools that were ranked around the area. Tell me some more local schools that, if I was coming to your tournament, I could come and watch play. That was supposed to be pretty good.
Historically, South Oak Cliff High School has a rich tradition in basketball, as well as St. Mark's. St. Mark's is a pretty good private school program, as well as Bishop Lynch. Those three are participating in the boys bracket, as well as
Gold or silver?
Gold.
Okay.
We also have Frisco Heritage. They had a pretty good season last year. Then we also have C.E. King, one of our former coaches, Damian Mobley, was at Dallas Madison probably the last, he had a couple stints there.
Right.
But the last 4 or 5 years, he was our head coach at Madison, won a state championship in 22. Would have won one, I believe, in the COVID year, but they didn't have opportunity to play. He's the new head coach at C.E. King. He wanted to come back up to the Metroplex and bring his program to the Metroplex. So we also decided to host him. We also have Dallas Madison. Traditionally, they're one of our 3A programs that's that can compete with anybody. Currently, they're number 2 in 3A in the state, and they also in the gold bracket. One of the up-and-coming programs that I've noticed over the years is Frisco Panther Creek. I think this is their 3rd year of varsity competition. Mm-hmm. And last year they was one of our silver bracket teams. They made a run. This year, I believe they currently 8 or 9-1, I believe, something like that. So they're trying to make some noise. They also will participate in the gold bracket, gold division. As far as our girls' side, we have a plethora of Metroplex teams that's participating in this tournament, along with Humble High School girls coming from Houston. Traditionally they a middle of the road team in their district, and they're looking for some stiff competition in the Metroplex. Faith Family girls last year had a pretty decent season as well as Wiley High School. One of our Dallas ISD teams that's trying to make noise this year is W.T. White girls.
Oh, okay.
Currently they 14-0. They having a pretty good year. They'll be one of our Dallas ISD representatives in the gold, along with Lincoln High School girls. They traditionally always make noise, and they're doing a good job thus far this year.
Wow. Sounds like your term is going to be loaded. Earlier we had on Tom Rock, who used to run the Whataburger tournament. Now it's called the Championship Tournament. And he was telling us about some of the teams that he had coming in, and sounds like it's going to be a flip of the coin on which one of these tournaments. And that's the reason why we wanted to have and host this podcast talking about the 2 holiday tournaments. Generally, I would say people who lived in the Dallas Metroplex, the Dallas County area, more so go to the Dallas tournament, and then Tarrant County people generally go, unless there was a big game in one of the 2 tournaments and you wanted to see that matchup. it's amazing to me how so many teams come to this area to play basketball when they say they want some good stiff competition. Amazing in the sense that I don't think this area gets its full due on how good basketball is played here.
Right, absolutely.
I mean,
We don't.
if you go back and look through the tournament history of the old Dr. Pepper / Coca-Cola / Dallas Invitational, you got some Hall of Famers, you got some first rounders. I mean, first overall picks. Larry Johnson was first overall pick in the NBA draft when he came out of college at UNLV. Dallas ISD kid from Skyline. Chris Bosh, Hall of Famer.
Mm-hmm. I think
Gold medal winner.
Yeah, Olympic gold medalist. Won not national championships. NBA championships.
One
with Miami Heat.
Yeah, man. So it's been some great players that come through this tournament. I don't know if I was great, but I was good. I played in it. It was always tough. And it's one of my most proud awards that I got. My senior year, I was able to make the all-tournament team, and that was one of my goals as a senior, to be an all-tournament player in the Dr. Pepper tournament, because it was such a tough tournament to win. If you could get past the first day, you had accomplished something.
Right.
And in my 3 years, we got past the first day once. Once.
Yeah, no,
I mean,
it's pretty tough.
It's really tough because that
That's pretty
second
tough.
round game is going to be tough, whether you win or lose, because sometimes those first round matchups are between two really good, talented teams, and you end up catching one in the second round. Either way, consolation bracket or winning bracket, and you could be sent home.
And it's funny that you just brought that up. One of the positive things about our tournament is when I created the gold and silver bracket, what I did, that first game is really like a seeding game. It's not win or lose. So I'm trying to do the best matchup possible, and it just really seeds the bracket. It doesn't go like where you go into consolation because you lost the first game. So which is positive. For example, last year I believe Kimball and it's on the tip of my tongue. I'm trying to remember the team that they competed against last year. They end up seeing each other like in the semifinals to go to the actual championship game. So they got to end up playing each other twice. Just because of the way
the brackets work.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes,
It's sort of like in volleyball. I'm familiar with that. My daughter played high school volleyball. She's in college now at Virginia State.
Mm-hmm.
And we would go to these tournaments, and the first round or the first day of tournament play is to seed the bracket.
Right.
So you may end up being in a pool with a group,
Mm-hmm.
and then go over here and they go over there, and y'all could possibly meet up again.
Right. And, that's the exciting thing about this tournament, because it gives an opportunity like, okay, you got me the first time, I'm going to get you the second time.
Tell me, what are some of the enticing things that you guys use to reel these teams in? All these great teams out here, they could go play. Some of the teams over in Fort Worth could have probably chose to play over here, or some of the teams over in Dallas could possibly choose. So what kind of incentives do you give these teams besides the competitive nature to come play in your tournament?
Well, for the most part, that's something that we still trying to cultivate and come up with. But for starters, we do, provide hotel services for our
Out-of-town teams?
Out-of-town programs that's coming up. So that's something positive that we do. Moving forward, we're also trying to, figure out some other incentives to get that Sierra Canyon from California, places
Right,
like that. So,
right.
That's the ultimate goal of mine, is to make this tournament nationally known, and to get it to where it was in the 80s and 90s. When I was growing up, what I remember. Try to get it back to having state ranked teams from top to bottom. This year we have roughly 12 teams that was ranked in the top 25 in the state. I want 20. I want 25. So it can always get better.
Right.
That's my goal with the Dallas Invitational.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. let's name some more players, if we can, at this time that played in that tournament that you may have on your list
Current players, or to over the years?
over the years.
Over the years, shoot, man. I was in that, that Brian Hopkins era.
Yeah, B-Hop.
B-Hop, LaMarcus Aldridge.
Yes, yes.
Got a chance to watch them play. Byron
Another
Eaton's,
pro.
Darrell Arthurs at South Oak Cliff.
Right.
Oh man, shoot. Keith Frazier, played at Kimball a few years ago. Man, it's been Jawan Evans from Kimball.
Right.
It's been a plethora of players over the years. Shoot, I remember, like watching Carlton Dixon and them back in the day. And,
Okay.
The Willie Blacks. And stuff,
The Willie Blacks.
The guys you coached over the
Right.
years. Being a kid watching those guys play. I've been around this tournament for a very long time. I mean, even though by trade I was a football guy, but leadership is leadership. So
Exactly.
When given this opportunity to be the director of athletics for over basketball, I took it.
Right.
And I'm trying to make it mine, and trying to make it better than what it was when I got it. So.
Got you. Yeah, I think we would have to grab a historian from every era to get all the great names of guys
Absolutely.
that played.
83 years, this tournament been going. So.
And my brother played in it, and he's vastly forgotten about, but he was a outstanding player at Dallas Pinks in 1969. He was a blue chip guy, could have went anywhere in the country and played basketball, chose to stay close to home and went to TCU. And I always thought as a young kid growing up in that time, that's when Kareem was at UCLA, and he didn't even want to think about none of them types of schools. And I was wishing he had gone, but it was his choice, and But yeah, and there's a guy named Sammy Hervey that anytime you bring up Dallas basketball, if you do not bring up his name, you are cheating Dallas basketball out of he was a point forward before point forwards became popular. He can handle the ball, he can score the ball. Dude averaged 40 points a game for 3 years in high school. Was a pro. He passed away not too long ago. Anytime I think of Dallas basketball, I always think of him. I think of Alton Lister, who played
Heard the name before.
Woodrow, the younger brother of can't think his brother's name now, but the Lister boys that came through, they were very good. And another guy that went to Madison, but from West Dallas because there was no Pinkston at the time. I'm gonna grab my phone and find this information here for you in just a second.
Go find out.
Yeah, but he played for the New York Knicks. Stallworth. Yeah, thank you, man.
Yeah,
Stallworth.
Yes. Dave Stallworth.
Yeah, Dave Stallworth out of West Dallas. But anyway, like you say, you can go on and on and on. For me, during my era, it was Charles McMillan, Larry Joe Harris, both of them from South Oak Cliff. Kenneth Williams, South Oak Cliff. You can go to Roosevelt and go with the Wright boys. Ren Wright, the older brother of Carl Wright. Those guys were phenomenal basketball players and did well beyond high school. So yes, I am familiar. Yes, I want to give those guys their due. And I know I miss, Dwayne Scales from Carter High School. Vernon Smith. Yeah, Vernon. Really good. And then you can go with the Kimball teams in the 80s. If I was a fan sitting in the mid-cities, give me something to make me choose coming to your tournament during the holidays. I can go to any tournament in the area because I just picked the biggest two to have on my show. And tell me something about your tournament this year on why I should come.
Well, this year, for starters, like I said, on the boys' side, we have 14 state-ranked teams. So, the competition level, will be there. Secondly, I believe it's very cost-effective. $25 for 3 days. You go to any facility that we have, all 8, well, all 10. If you count the final days. I think that's great. It's a historical. It's just a monument, for the state of Texas when it comes to basketball, and it's a historical event. It's been around 83 years, and we normally put on a great show, for our fans. So, if you're not doing anything, December 27th through 29th, please check us out. We hit 8 different locations on first 2 days, and final day 2 locations. So.
Is there a way that people purchase tickets online, or do they pay in person?
So everything's online. Everything's electronic at this point. It will be on gofan.co.
Okay.
Not com, but it's co. Gofan.co.
Okay, we'll have that up on the screen here in a minute. Okay, gofan.co.
Yeah.
And that's how and then you pick the event?
Pick the event.
Dallas Invitational.
Dallas Invitational. And
go from there.
Yeah, buy the ticket. Everything's digital.
Everything is digital. Well, MT, I appreciate you, man. You've heard it first here with Coach Bacon on the Passion Project. I'm your host with MT, Assistant Athletic Director of Dallas ISD. Thank you. Happy holidays.